Hello, this is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. Today it's Gnawgahyde and Porkbelly and that monkey thing. I think it's called Yobbo. Gnawgahyde is a bit controversial because his sculpt is mostly a reuse. Well, it's a total reuse of the gung ho roadblock build. His legs, his torso, his arms, everything's old on this guy. So he's not pinless. And for many Joe collectors, that's a problem. Let's dig further. The one good thing I will say is that Pork Belly, the hug that comes with Gnawgahyde, is a great pet. Once again, Hasbro demonstrate that it knows how to create great looking pets. Now, Yobbo, that's another story, but we'll look at that after. If I were trying to explain why they reused the entire body of Gung Ho and Roadblock, I would say that they were trying to cut cost everywhere they could. Now, Gnawgahyde's body lends itself to reusing this old skull. Even parts which seem weird, like the shins, are completely represented in the classic Gnawgahyde action figure from 1989. He has shins like that for real. So Hasbro probably felt justified in reusing all those parts. In terms of likeness, Gnawgahyde has always looked like a copy of Spider-Man villain Kraven the Hunter. He's got this fur yellow top, which reminds me of a Flintstones character. So does Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter has an open shirt. He does too. Kraven the Hunter sports several weapons. He does too. He's a hunter just like Kraven. I guess Gnawgahyde is G.I. Joe's version of Kraven the Hunter. His personality and function in the Dreadnoks is about the same. He likes to hunt, except he usually hunts for game, not people. In a sense, Shadow Tracker would be his competitor on Cobra Island. But the Dreadnoks need their own tracker, so they got Gnawgahyde. Pork Belly is the most improved from the old figure, as he's fully articulated and not just brown. He's grayish and has a mohawk. Now Yobbo is an addition. Yobbo is Yobbo. Do with it what you want. He's another G.I. Joe pet. Not necessary, but they decided they were going to give us a Yobbo to probably mimic Timon and Pumbaa. Not sure if it worked. So in terms of likeness, the old Gnawgahyde had a Crocodile Dundee hat, a bow, a backpack, quiver with arrows, and a rifle, just like the old Gnawgahyde. He has a necklace made of teeth, but he also has dog tags with him. He sports blue jeans, yellowish, orangish fur top, huge pockets on each side of his pants, a holster on his right foot, and some kind of machete thing that he puts on his wrist. Kind of looks like Wolverine's claws. In terms of look, he looks like the original. Now, like I mentioned, the sculpt is exactly the same as Roadblock and Gung Ho. The head is almost reminiscent of Gung Ho. It's obviously a new head. That sculpt was okay at the time. It's still good. Some people think that it's a 5-year sculpt, so it shouldn't be used. It's okay. The biggest drawback are the pins on the elbows. Those on the thighs are not that visible or annoying to look at. Gnawgahyde is a bigger dude, so it makes sense to use this body. I don't think they could have used another body for him. Mindbender's too skinny. Quick Kick is definitely not the same size as Gnawgahyde. He's a smaller dude completely. Perhaps something like Zartan would have fit, but they decided to go with a bigger dude body and torso, so we didn't get that. In a way, Hasbro is maximizing its cost by reusing this entire body and investing in Pork Belly. The face is good looking. He's got scars on top of his head if you remove the hat, and even tattoos on the side, so that's nice. He's grinning, and apparently his teeth are scans of one of the Joe team creators. Although most of the plastic is unpainted, there are some highlights here and there on Gnawgahyde. He has a cool Anarchy tattoo on his left shoulder. There's an intricate print on his jacket that mimics animal skin. He does have a bunch of tattoos all over his body. On his right arm, it's a very intricate tattoo. I believe it's the Dreadnok's tattoo. Like I mentioned, he has a tattoo on his head, scars. I would have liked to see dirt highlight on his jeans or his boots. That would have made it look even better, but Hasbro decided to go with the clean look there. That's a missed opportunity. A bit of dirt here and there would have made him look even better. In terms of scale, Gnawgahyde is obviously the same size as Gung Ho, a bit shorter than the original Roadblock, or about the same size, just a bit tinier, I guess, and obviously much shorter than the heavy-duty Roadblock, which uses part of the body, the legs mostly, but a different torso, or someone like Sergeant Slaughter. He's probably one of the beefiest and bigger Dreadnoks so far. The other ones feel a bit puny next to him, and that's okay. So he's not a small guy. His feet, though, are way too stubby and tiny for his build. If they're gonna be reusing this build, maybe they could have changed the feet and finally make them big enough for the figure. In terms of stability, I was a bit surprised that everything could stand up on him, even though he's wearing the quiver and the rifle case. He's not too top heavy that he's falling. He's quite sturdy and he doesn't feel like he's gonna fall over. That's a very good thing for him. The articulation, like I mentioned, they're the old ones used for roadblock and gung ho. So double articulation at the elbows. The head and the neck articulation don't move so much on him, unfortunately. And if you move them, you will be moving the two necklaces, and making them look sharp on him can be a bit difficult. So just be aware of that. He's got good butterflies, cuts, and swivels at the bicep, double elbow articulation. He's got the inside type of articulation on the wrist. Fortunately, he can bend easily, and of course, because he's using the old sculpt, it's easy to move his waist from the ball joint. Very easy. It moves quite well. He can do the split and has drop down. Hips, his knees do fold well enough. He has swivel at thighs, and you can move his shin a bit too easily if you ask me, but also his ankles. You can't move them up too much because of the shin guard on both legs. In terms of gear, he comes with a hat that can be removed. That's a beautiful hat, by the way. It just fits on his head easily. He has straps all over his body and they help him with his gear. The machete is crooked on mine. It's not straight. The bow is a technical bow, mechanical bow, which is different from the original figure. The Gnawgahyde from the old days had a pistol in the holster on his right leg. They replaced that with a knife, and they gave him another one that he can put on his back. They're the same knives, by the way. His belt has grenades, a viewfinder. Now, the good thing about Gnawgahyde is that one of the arrows can be removed from the quiver. You can also store other equipment if you want, such as the machete. You could probably put the machete there on the quiver, but the holster or case for the rifle comes with space where you can store the tripod, the rifle itself, obviously, the suppressor, the rifle scope. It's fairly easy to assemble everything. The suppressor can even go elsewhere on his back if you want, not necessarily on the rifle. It's the same weapons case that was used with Lowlight and Shooter, but it's okay. It's not the same color as the other guys, so it fits just right. Most of Gnawgahyde is PVC. Most of the props seem straight except for the machete, which is crooked. Everything else should be okay. The bow feels like it's bent, but it's very soft. That's why it feels a bit flimsy. The other props, well, are Yobbo. It's unfortunate, as other people have pointed out, that Indiana Jones came with a small monkey, one of the Indiana Jones action figures from last year, that has more articulation and is much smaller than this one, than Yobbo. If you have that old Indiana Jones action figure from last year, maybe you want to replace Yobbo with that one, so you'll have more articulation. In any case, that monkey looks good in generic sets and dioramas if you want. Now, the star of the show is Porkbelly. So Porkbelly is a warthog. He's gray. He's got a mohawk. He's got a fully articulated head and neck. His mouth can open and close. Probably has bad breath. He's got a chain on his snout. It seems that everything about Porkbelly is new. I don't believe any of the parts on Porkbelly were used before, but he has great articulation at the elbows, the shoulders, the elbows, the hoofs. His tail can twist, but it doesn't move from a ball joint, so be careful with it because it's easy for it to fall, so don't break it. His torso has articulation too, just above his belly. He's a beautiful animal, stinky probably, noisy, and a glutton, but nice. Now Yobbo is Yobbo. He's a statue, useless. You can put it on Porkbelly or even Gnawgahyde shoulders by putting his tail around his neck so he can grab and hold on. He's useless. This is another Dreadnok in your collection. I will say that I'm happy for the price I paid for Gnawgahyde. Amazon Canada had some kind of bug when the figure was announced. Well, most Canadian retailers had the same bug. The price quoted by Hasbro was half of what the figure should have retailed for. So the figure was about $32 Canadian. And Amazon decided to honor the price for collectors who got the figure in that window of time of uncertainty where there was some questions about what was the price of this figure. And yeah, Amazon honored their mistake. They did not charge twice the price for this figure. I didn't expect that from Amazon. That's a good thing. So I got Gnawgahyde, Porkbelly, and Yobbo for about the price, well, just under the price of a regular classified figure. I'm not gonna complain, which is why even though this figure reuses most of the parts from Roadblock and Gung Ho, I'm quite happy with him. Now, will this figure be easy to find? Yeah, it's gonna peg war eventually. I mean, the body is not everyone's favorite build. He's a pretty specialized Dreadnok. Now, having Porkbelly is good, but unless you collect animals, if you're not a G.I. Joe collector, you may not be interested in getting a Porkbelly action figure, and Yobbo is useless. So I figured that over the next few months, you'll be able to buy Gnawgahyde at a discount. It's probably gonna peg warm, a bit like Quackmaster did with Fiona, fortunately. I mean, Fiona is a great build. I had to buy a second Quackmaster and Fiona set because of Fiona. This is what's gonna happen to Gnawgahyde. But if you ever need to buy a second Gnawgahyde, the body is perfect for custom figures. You could easily reuse him for some of the renegades, like Taurus. Since Gnawgahyde is not a core character, even though he was shown in the 1989 cartoon a lot, yeah, I don't think people are gonna rush to get him. It's a solid figure using an old build with a cool main pet. This is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. Like and subscribe.